Actually, that might be the other way around.
All right, so this is step 2 in fashion design, measurement. So I have handed out a form of the typical male, female body, and you're going to measure yourself. Chantel here is going to demonstrate. So you're going to measure your waist. So Chantel. No, your waist. So you're going to measure the smallest part of your waist. Okay, and make sure your measuring tape is on 0, and then you look to see where it overlaps, and that would be your waist measurement. Then you're going to do your hip, and you always measure the widest part of your hip, and again make sure you're starting on 0 and you mark down. So you want to make sure the tension on the rope or on the measuring tape is tight, but not tight, so tight that it is pushing in on your body. You need to measure the widest part so that the pants will fit properly. Okay, then next you're going to measure the inseam. So that goes from your waist down, from your crotch down. So you're going to hold the measuring tape here, and then you're going to come down to the ankle and measure all the way down to the inner ankle. Okay, and the last one is from your belly button down. So you hold 0 at your belly button, and then you move the measuring tape down, and then you mark the number that hits the seam of your pants. So this is step 3 for fashion design. This is cutting out the correct pattern size. So using the flap of the original pattern, find your hip measurement and corresponding size. So Chantel has the original pattern, and on the flap, okay, so what Chantel would do is she would take her size and she would find on the hip size which pattern piece she's going to cut out. Okay, then you're going to, once you have the correct size, you're going to trace the correct size using the pieces. Okay, so the pattern will have these pieces. What's really important to remember is that you have to trace all of the lines and dots that are given on the pattern. You're going to take this paper and you are going to reproduce it so that you have your own pattern piece. So the second part of step 3 is adjusting the pattern to fit your body. So using the measurements that we showed in video 1, and you're going to use your croquis to adjust the length of the waistband and legs on the pattern. Be sure to adjust the line, at the line provided by the pattern. Always measure twice and adjust once, and you can always check with me for assistance. So this is what you're using. Okay, we're going to be looking at this line from the belly button and the leg length. Okay, so Chantel is going to show us how you would do that. So you decide how much needs to be taken in. You measure carefully. Say it was an inch, then you mark off your inch with your pencil. Okay, so you do that on both sides of the waist so that you get an even, and then you fold along the line provided by the pattern to meet the pencil marks. There we go. So you fold it and then you would tape it. That's how you adjust the waist. And you're going to do the same thing on the leg. If you have a little bit shorter leg than the average 32 inches, you would take your tape measure, you do your 2 measurements, mark it with a pencil, great, and then fold it up, marking the line to the new spot, and then using your tape to move it down. All right, step 4 of making pajama pants. So laying your pattern out on the fabric and cutting the fabric. So using the grain line traced from the original pattern, line up your pattern pieces on the fabric. So we're going to see the instructions and use the measuring tape so that pieces are straight. If you are not sure whether or not they are straight, you need to measure. So here is what the pattern provides for us. Depending on the width of your fabric, most fabrics are the first option, and you can see how piece 6, 7 lie out on the fabric. The folded edge and the salvaged edge. Salvaged just means that it has been cut there, or it's the edge of the original piece of fabric. So what you're going to do is you're going to check to make sure your pattern is going in the same direction on both pieces so that your pattern lines up frontwards on both. You're going to lay the fabric so the good sides point out, and then you come and check with me if you have plaids or stripes, because you have to be very careful of those. All right, so Chantel is going to demonstrate. So she has her fabric laid out. You can see the selvage edges have a white fringe, and the folded edge is where she is working. So she has her pattern piece laid out. She is measuring from the folded edge to the grain line. Okay, and then she's pinning the piece there. She's going to slide down to the bottom of the leg and do the same thing. This ensures that the pattern isn't on a diagonal or isn't crooked, that both legs will have even patterns facing in the same direction. So you're going to do this. You're going to pin all around the edges of the pattern. And then what's really important is the next step is cutting out. So you're going to pin the pattern to the fabric and check with the teacher. Once you've been approved, you can cut out the pattern pieces. Be sure to cut out around the notches on the edge of the pattern. Okay, then you're going to unpin the paper from the fabric, remembering what numbers have been assigned to each piece. So we've got 6, 7, and 8 on this particular pattern. Okay. So here's an example of the notches on the edge of the pattern piece, and you have to make sure that you cut those out, and that is to line up your pieces evenly so that your pants are evenly spaced.